Hey beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. Shantia's New Chapter. I'm Shantia. So today we're going to be doing a new review. Yes, a review for Married at First Sight. This is going to be for season 15, episode 16. And yeah, so we're just going to get into like what's going on with the couples. What are our predictions? Let me just say it straight up. I feel like everyone is going to say yes. It almost feels like that. Alexis, I'm kind of unsure of. I'm curious to know what your guys' predictions is going to be for Decision Day, so put that down below if you're interested in doing that. But I feel like every couple is going to say yes, because it's like, okay, 8 weeks, we've had some time to go through things, we've had ups and downs, let's give it another 8 weeks to kind of figure out, are we compatible? That's kind of where I feel like all the couples, that's where their head is right now. It's like, we want to give it a little bit more time to see if we're actually compatible. By the way, happy October. Hope you're enjoying my costume here. Yeah, I don't know. I just like pulled some things out of my closet, and then this cute little angel set. So you're welcome. I hope you're entertained. Okay, so let's go ahead and start out with our first couple, which is Lindy and Miguel. Okay, so with the Lindy Miguel, my thing is they're so heady. Like, they're so in their heads about their relationship that it's hard for them to see past the obstacles and find a compromise and a solution. I feel like they're both so smart, and we forget that both of them have PhDs. They're both so smart, and they're both so in their heads about the relationship that it kind of takes, right? It kind of takes the fun. It sucks the fun out of the relationship. So I honestly think the issue is having those discussions, because I feel like when it comes to the two of them, it's about the experience. They're needing to enhance their experience with each other, as opposed to focusing so much on the details or projections into the future of like shoulda, coulda, or what, like hypotheticals essentially. So I'm just like, if you guys just experience each other and you stopped trying to talk about, this is what I do, this is what you do, this doesn't work for me, this work. It's like you're negotiating essentially. And I know you have to negotiate to some degree in a relationship. But at the same time, I feel like I just want to see them do something. Like, I want to see you put what you're talking about to use. I want you to shift your behaviors and change them, as opposed to just talking about them. Because I can tell, even though they're both just, kind of somewhat calm, and they're talking to each other in this very intelligent, intellectual way, they're not on the same page. They're just not on the same page. And they're both very much for protecting themselves. So I just feel like there needs to be a little bit more give. I want to tell Lindy, girl, please stop talking. Just like experience, let it be an experience. Men are already logical. So a lot of what the women have been doing towards these men, all across the board, is they're like talking. They're getting them in their heads. Like, men are already naturally very logical. That's masculine energy. So if in the relationship he has to be very logical and he has to negotiate with you 24/7 about this thing and that little thing and that detail and this detail, it starts to suck the romance and the desire out of the partnership. So here's this guy, he's known you for 8 weeks. I'm sure he's thinking at this point, I don't even know if this is worth it. He's like, I've known you for 8 weeks. And I'm already tired, because all we do is talk about and stress about these situations. Usually that's like the thing that people get into their relationship, like 4 years, 5 years in, maybe they get to a point where there's like, whoa, I want something different, because you're calling to evolve. But then if you're going to a partnership with all of these expectations of what you want versus trying to find common ground, you're going to have issues. I think Miguel still has some issues, unresolved emotional things that he needs to work on his own, maybe even seek therapy for on his own. And when it comes to Lindy, it's the same thing. It's that repressive church experience. What I like about Lindy is she has a fire about her. And I think that fire is what's going to keep her enthusiastic. It's what's going to keep her going. But it's also what's going to wear out her partners as well. So I'm just like, think about it. You have to remember, this is your teammate. I would love for Miguel to lighten up when it comes to, Lindy, she can be fun, maybe very distracting. But I feel like if he just lightens up and he enjoys her presence, they can enjoy the relationship. But at this point, I think he's emotionally worn out, because he's carrying what she's trying to tell him, and he's carrying what he's been carrying with himself for some time, and he's having to deal with both of those weights. So I think they're going to say yes because I think they genuinely like each other and they care for one another, but I'm just not seeing them find common ground. What I would love for them to do is just do couple counseling or go to a couple therapists, find a third party for you guys to learn how to really enact compromise. I'm like, if you guys can't figure out, and this is something I think couples run into all the time, is they're constantly fighting. They're not finding a way to get on the same page. And then it's too late. Like by that time, you've created this pattern, like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years into your marriage, you've already come to this point where you think, well, we just can't find compromise. But I'm like, did you really try? So like, I'm like, nip it in the bud early on and learn what compromise looks like, feels like, you know, what it means to be on the same team. I feel like coming back to that mentality of we're on the same team is what's going to help you to thrive in your partnership, in your marriage every single time. It's just remembering we are on the same team. I feel like Lindy Miguel, they want to be on the same team, but they're still fighting their egos. They're still fighting their egos. He's not really going to care about the last name. Honestly, he wouldn't. Those are details. The reason why Miguel's holding on to these little details like the last name and whatnot is because honestly, she's just putting him in his head. And so now he's negotiating all of these. I'm like, if you don't want him to negotiate all of these little details, then you need to get him into his body and experiencing the relationship with you, which means connection, which means having fun, which means tapping into the physical as well as the emotional intimacy, listening to him when he's talking, really hearing what he's saying without wanting to combat with your point and your opinion and persuade him to see your perspective. Why don't you just listen? Just listen. Sometimes they just need a listening ear. That's it. And for someone to be like, I hear you, I see you. And that's it. Okay, so moving on to our next couple is Kristen and Mitch. So I think Kristen and Mitch are going to say yes. I don't think they should say yes. I think they're far too different. Kristen wants him to change. Mitch likes who he is. He likes his lifestyle. He likes who he's been. So what he's having to do is essentially compartmentalize. Thus, the suspicious taking the ring off situation. He can't merge the two lives together because with her, he feels like he's a different person. And when it comes to what he really likes, he feels like he's a different person. So that's why he's already planning, after we say yes, which is what he wants to do, after we say yes, I want time to myself. I want to get back to my surfing. I want to get back to what I'm used to doing. So that's just the thing. That's the lifestyle. You shouldn't have to compromise your lifestyle to the point where you don't recognize yourself in a relationship, in a partnership. I think there is a little bit of confusion that happens when it comes to getting into a partnership. And perhaps people do, even Nate was struggling with, what is my identity? Who am I? I'm losing myself. I feel like they're not going to feel that way if you, as the feminine in the partnership, you're not getting them in their head. Right? It should be an experience where they're just like, wow, I can't wait. They should really, at this point, they should be like, wow, I can't wait to be married. I know realistically, yes, we have some fears that come up, but I'm like, it should mostly feel like, wow, this is the honeymoon phase. It should still be the honeymoon phase. The honeymoon phase should have not ended already. It should still be the honeymoon phase. It still should feel so fresh, so adventurous. And if it doesn't feel like that, then somehow we're putting too much weight or expectation prematurely into something. You know, life is about experience. And I'm like, it's about, why did you want to get married? I want to wake up and be with this person and share in this experience with it. That's why you asked for a partnership. That's why you got in the show. That's why you wanted a wife now, not 2 years from now. You wanted a wife now. So you have to think about, you know, honestly, I'm kind of thinking about Nate and Stasia when I'm saying this, but yes, you have to think about that when you're getting into a partnership. You have to really think about, why is there a fly in here? You have to really think about, why did I want this to begin with? Okay, so with Kristen and Mitch, they enjoy each other. I think they have a really good potential for friendship. But here's the thing I have to say with Kristen. If you want him to change too much, you don't really like him. That's the thing, and that's what I feel bad about. I'm like, he should not have to compromise himself to that extent where he doesn't feel like he's not able to live or be who he really is authentically. It should be a merging. We merge our lifestyles together. I think they're trying, but the reason why they're having to try so hard is because they're so different. So recognize that. Take the time to really recognize, are we very different? Do I like doing all of these things, or does it drive me crazy? Because if it's driving me crazy right now, most likely it's going to be driving you crazy 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. It's still going to be driving you crazy. But you didn't speak up. First, speak up. Second of all, you didn't realize that changing this person would hurt them more than help them. And that's my thing that I want to help people get away from, is trying to change this person. Is that really helping both of you? Or do you feel like maybe there's something better? So with Mitch, he's feeling confused. He's feeling confused because at the core, it's not a hell yes. And that's what I said. I'm like, to me, even though this is Married at First Sight and there is a little bit of like mystery surrounding, are they going to say yes? Are they going to say no? It shouldn't be a mystery going into it. If it's a mystery, you don't know that person very well. What have you been doing this 8 weeks? It shouldn't be a mystery going into decision day. You should know exactly what you're going to say. You should know exactly what your partner's going to say, because realistically, that's what a relationship is. We're on the same page today, tomorrow, day after. We are on the same page. We're planning together. So if it's a mystery, it's a no. It's not a hell yes. And I feel like marriage, quite frankly, the amount of strength, endurance, heart, and compromise it requires a hell yes. And I know a lot of people, they get into marriage where it's like, but then they struggle, right? They go through so many growing pains in the relationship because it wasn't a hell yes. It was not a hell yes. It was more like a, I hope I figure it out on the way. And I'm like, that's just not the kind of attitude you want to be getting into a relationship with. You should feel at peace and content with knowing that this person is here to support you and to support your union, and you guys are on the same team. So as far as they go, I feel like they should say no, because they're too different. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next couple, which is going to be Alexia and Justin. Took me a minute. Okay, so Alexis, did I call her Alexia? I think I have. Alexis and Justin. So as far as Alexis and Justin go, I just don't feel like there's too much inconsistencies and instability to me for these two people to be engaging in a partnership. Now, I'm a little, to be honest, I get confusion every time I watch them, because when I'm watching them, it seems like they vibe with each other. They really like enjoy one another. But when it comes to them actually wanting to, like, when they have their discussions, you can feel the tension. You know, when you're watching Alexis' body language, sometimes when she's just kind of like pulled away from him or putting up a wall, you can kind of tell like there's a little bit of a disconnect going on. I think there is some possibility for them to mend it, but whenever she keeps bringing up this idea, you know, I keep having these doubts or these feelings. Don't you think that's interesting? I'm like, girl, what do you think? Are you trying to drop hints, or because I feel like she's trying to drop hints to some extent. I'm like, but what do you like? What's going on? I don't really like playing games. I don't like inconsistencies. Personally, that's just my opinion. It shouldn't. There were like a few seasons ago where there were a couple couples where it's just like, yes, I love this person. I like this person. We're in this together. Let's do it. There shouldn't be any mystery. That's the whole point of marriage. It's about stability. There shouldn't be any mystery in terms of like, do you like me? You know, so if you're feeling like that at this point, I feel like it's a no. Just like with Mitch. If you're that confused, it's probably a no. As far as Mitch goes, he may have to just take some time to mature. But the thing is, I liked his growth in this season. I think he's been great from first episode to the 16th episode. I think he's learned so much, but he may just need some time. Maybe now he knows more of what he wants and he'll go for that next time. And I think that for Kristen as well, she'll know more of what she needs and she'll ask for it right away instead of putting it off. Okay, sorry. Moving back to Alexis and Justin. So Justin got rid of his dog, he let go of his dog to his best friend. And he said, well, I'm expecting a yes from her, but I'm not sure about what she wants. He said it has something to do with her intimate life and intimacy. I don't know. There's really nothing else to add as compared to like what I said the prior week. I think Justin is just, he's committed. He's interested in making this work. I think Alexis is full of doubt and uncertainty. She poses some good arguments, right? About, long-term generational stability. Are we a match for that? But I also feel like they do need a little bit more time to just see if they can get past those growing pains or past those obstacles. So I think they're going to say yes. There really isn't much to add. I wish Alexis would be a little bit more direct. I think she needs to be much more direct in what she wants and take into consideration how she talks to her partner or about her partner overall. That's all I'm really going to add to Alexis and Justin. The way she talks, at first, their conversations will be really good, really positive, and then they'll kind of like the way she talks. Justin is emotional. That's his thing. Whoops. He's emotional, and he gets to a point where he lets his emotions kind of decide and overwhelm him. And he can't really think clearly, and that's his thing that he's needing to work through. But the commitment is there. With her, I'm not so sure. So if they can work with each other in that sense, she can teach him a little bit more stability and stepping up, and he can teach her to just stay consistent. Okay. Moving on to our final couple, Alexis and Nate. How are we feeling about them? So I was so frustrated with Shantia. I don't know if you guys were feeling the same way. I was feeling so frustrated with her because I'm like, girl, what you doing? You are self-sabotaging the heck out of this partnership. And it's really frustrating sometimes. See, this is why emotional stability is very important. And to be with someone who is highly self-aware, because as smart as Shantia is, she just misses some of the most obvious points. And I find that really interesting. Some of us, we have blind spots. So we're like so smart in one area and we can see something, but other areas we're just completely blind and so not aware of what's going on. I think Nate is genuinely trying. I think he has some fears, but he's communicated those fears. He's talked about those fears. Why do men talk about their fears and why do they get vulnerable? Because they feel like they can trust you. That's their way of saying, I trust you enough to let you know what's going on. I want to rewind for a minute and go back to Miguel and Lindy. I want to know at the core, because maybe they got away from that as they started to get to know each other, when Lindy was like pouring out all of her emotions. I think Miguel he's essentially been starting to shut down, right? He's been shutting down. But what I find so interesting is that I want to know, why is Miguel like that? In the first few episodes, he talked about his mother and what he's gone through. And since then, that discussion has sort of quieted. And I think the reason why Miguel feels so frustrated with Lindy is because he feels like he's not being heard, right? So I essentially mentioned that. I don't think she's listening to him, like really listening to him. So the thing is, if you're listening to him when he really needs your attention and your presence, if you're really listening to him, I don't think he's going to feel like you're not listening to me. All the time. It's a feeling. That might not be, he might be misperceiving the situation, and she does listen, but I don't think she's fully present with him, and that's what he's calling for. So we always have to listen to the criticism. Usually there's some truth in it. Even if our partner is coming towards us and we don't want to see it, there's some truth in what they're saying, and we have to listen to that. Even if we are like, what? I'm totally here for you. Don't lie to yourself. Moving back to Stassi and Nate, him moving into her house, she said she needed love from him. And I'm just like, that's crazy. You've known this guy for 8 weeks. Not only that, he's told you honestly and sincerely where he's at emotionally. She says she has a fear of his lack of experience when it comes to love. But the irony is, to me, she's coming off as like a hurt little girl. Like, she's going around asking for love, right? Well, when are you going to tell me you love me? Well, when are you going to tell me you love me? Love is a gift. Love is a gift. And as the mature feminine in the partnership, you would give your partner that space to come towards you to offer that. Now, what I'm sensing, what was amiss in Mitch's and Kristen's relationship, and what is amiss in Stassi and Nate's relationship, and the reason why she's not getting the results she wants, and maybe Kristen's not getting the enthusiasm and devotion that she wants in her connection, it's the gut level reaction. That's what you're wanting from men. You're wanting them to be like in love with you, right? Oh, I'm so in love with you. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Da 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 da. we have to remember they're not women, so they don't process their emotions the same as us. We're very emotional creatures. They're much more intentional with their emotions. They feel a lot more vulnerable when they offer it. And they get hurt easier. And it takes them longer to recover if you don't receive and accept their emotions as is, just like is being displayed in Nate's and Stasia's relationship. So she wants him to say, I love you, and she wants the gut level reaction. Well, in order for you to get the gut level reaction, you can't get him in his head. Okay, thinking about, sitting down at night and having those discussions. Do you love me? Do you not love me? You're getting him in his head, thinking about all the concerns of the future. Do you want to be in this marriage with me? Questioning, are you devoted to me? Like, it sounds like it's coming from a place of insecurity, and she's really having to heal that. So I'm just needing someone to help her with that self-awareness. And I was really hoping during some of those discussions she's had with her friends for them to remind her. I think they've tried, but just to remind her, hey girl, are you sure you're not just projecting this onto him? Are you sure this is not your insecurities that are coming up that you're needing to heal, that have nothing to do with him, that were here prior to him being in the partnership? Right? So with Stasia, I'm really just hoping that she finds a way to gain a little bit more self-awareness, because she's just like, well, he's just unexperienced. Honey, you are the experience. He's married to you. He's chosen to be in this connection with you. You're the one he's going to develop the love with, right? You're the one he's going to understand what that love is with. So that's just crazy to me. I mean, to me, some relationship experience is great. It's great because it shows you, okay, he knows what it's like. He has like a realistic understanding of what the exchange is in a partnership. But at the same time, we have to give each other space to grow. So I'm like, either you're going to cut him down and try to pinpoint his lack of experience and his whatever, and you don't patiently wait for him to come towards you, or you do. I don't know. You either accept him as he is. He's telling you straightforward, I'm committed. I'm in this. Give me time. And yet you're not listening. She's just not listening. So that's what I find so fascinating, is you can sit down and have this intelligent conversation with someone and yet totally not be like, women are okay, let me just be honest. I feel like half the time women are terrible listeners. Terrible listeners. Terrible. And this is absolutely, I think, true, because we're so used to wanting to talk all the time. But how often are you actually listening to what's going on? That's how we create harmony in our relationships. You gotta listen. Anyways, a lot of self-sabotage. I think Nate is in it. I think he's committed. I think he's with it. I think he has some realistic fears. Those fears don't just go away overnight. They take time. Wanting to have a baby. She's wanting to kind of rush the experience and want everything now and here and now. And I'm like, that totally takes out the spontaneity and the gift of connection, the gift of having a relationship. Why did you sign up for this? You signed up because you wanted someone to be with, and then you also wanted a family, someone to support you and be your support unit in your support unit here, your family unit. So that's why I'm just so frustrated. I'm like, please stop doing that in your relationships. When you got someone good, just pay attention to what their needs are and find a compromise. And the way you really, really get that gut level reaction and you really want that love from someone, you can't put pressure. Love is not, it's free flowing, right? It's a gift. You can't put a gun to someone's head and say, hey, love me. It's not the way it works. You got to let them, that analogy might have been too much, but I don't know. Anyways, but you can't tell them, you can't make them love you. It just totally sucks all of the spontaneity out of the connection. So allow them to come towards you. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your life. That's why learning how to be single is the key. Learning how to be single, enjoy being single. It's what's going to help you to be prepared for being in an interdependent, beautiful, harmonious partnership that's healthy. Because you've already cultivated tools on your own. You're not going to need this extra amount of reassurance from someone if you already cultivated the tools with yourself. If you already cultivated emotional stability, you know how to handle your emotions, you know how to process your emotions. You're not going to be asking someone to change themselves. Like, the change is a part of the experience. So I'm like, if you don't like them as they are right now and you're not willing to allow them to change, like, you know, for you guys to evolve together, then that's going to be a problem. Because you can't plan, you can't marry who you think someone is. You're only marrying who you know. You've known of. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to word this. You can only marry and know of who they are and what they've shown you. You can't marry, I potentially want you to be this kind of husband, like Kristen. I potentially want you to be like this and do the huge proclamations of love for me. And I want to feed you this line, and this line. I want you to say it to me like this, like this, like this. Let go, women, please let go, release control of trying to control your partner. Pull that energy back towards you. That control, take that control and use it as self-control for regulating your emotions, regulating your desires, and trusting your partner. Trusting that things will grow in the way that they need to. All you can really ask for, all you really know is who they are right now, who they show you. And the way you truly unveil that experience is just by being present with them. Okay, so that is going to be my review for Married at First Sight. Episode 16, I believe episode 17 is going to be decision day. I'm predicting that everyone's going to say yes. Woohoo! Kristen and Mitch should say no. But I feel like everyone's going to say yes, and maybe Stassi and Nate, with some couple counseling, will be able to make it through. Everybody else, not so sure. All right, let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys are enjoying these reviews. Go ahead, like, subscribe to support the channel, and I'll see you guys next time for the Decision Day review. Thank you, and bye.